The presentation will start with a very quick one-on-one on what App Store optimization is, but then I'm going to move on to very concrete examples of what we've done with World Series of Poker. Before I get into anything else, I just want to give you some background information on myself. So I graduated from McGill University's Business School with a major in international business and a minor in marketing and economics. Right after my graduation, I joined Playtika as a mobile marketing specialist. I've been in the user acquisition team for World Series of Poker for 2 years now. So for those of you who might not be familiar with Playtika, we are one of the world's leading casual gaming companies. We were founded in 2010. Initially, the company started in the social casino genre, but with recent acquisitions and additions to our gaming portfolio, we now moved on to casual gaming genre. So here are some of our major titles that you might be familiar with. The top row would be some of our classical games in the social casino genre, and the bottom part would be the recent additions. So Board Kings and Pirate Kings from Jelly Button, June's Journey and Pearl's Peril from Vuga, and Solitaire Grand Harvest has been our latest addition to our portfolio. Since I'm going to be talking to you about World Series of Poker today, I just want to give you some background information on WSOP. World Series of Poker is the top downloaded and top grossing poker app in the US and in many other countries in the world. We have millions of players playing our game every day. Our game is all about authentic poker action and the exclusivity that comes with being a World Series of Poker player. WSOP is actually a real-life poker tournament that happens every year in the US, and we are the official game for those tournaments. So, a very quick one-on-one on ASO. We can break ASO down into two as visibility and conversion. App Store optimization is basically the process of improving your visibility in the App Store. So it's a very cost-effective way of getting more installs for your application. Also, it improves the cost efficiency of your user acquisition spend. So if you think about it, whoever sees your ad online and is interested in it and clicks on it to download it will end up in your App Store product page. So if your ASO game is not in great shape, then you might lose out really valuable users that were initially interested in your app, but then didn't like what they saw in your product page, so they didn't download your game. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to have a great App Store product page. So visibility and conversion. Visibility is all about how easy it is for users to find your application in the App Store, and conversion is all about how likely those users are to download your application once they see it. Visibility can also be broken down into two as browse and search. Browse would be running into the application in top charts, in collection lists, in featured placements, and any other new placement that the app stores might come up with in the future. And search would be when people are looking for a certain kind of application, for a certain subject, they would go to the search bar and actually look for something. This is where we start talking about keyword optimizations, keyword rankings. So it's a vast area in ASO. When compared to each other, search has a lot of more weight on how visible your app is in the App Store. And this is a great thing for us mobile marketers because we have more control over our keyword rankings than we do in our top chart rankings. Conversion. So it can technically happen in two different places in the App Store. One would be the search result page, and the other one would be your product page. At this point of a user's journey, you really have to start thinking about what kind of visuals, what kind of elements that you want to put up there so that you can attract the right kind of users to download your application. So this is a quick overview of ASO. Both pillars are very, very important, visibility and conversion. But today, as Jeet mentioned, I'm going to be talking about conversion because that's the critical point that will take you to your end goal, which is to get more installs for your application. Here are some elements that we can change to try and improve our conversion rate in the App Store. You can see icon, title, subtitle, app preview, screenshots, and description. These are all things that we can alter to make improvements in our conversion rate. And on Google Play, very similarly, we can change our icon, title, feature graphic, app preview, screenshots, short and long description. So one thing that I want to point out here is the feature graphic placement on Google Play, which doesn't exist on iOS. It's almost as important as the video, and it's a very big opportunity to try and improve our conversion rate. So the numbers that you see on the screen right now are a bit out of date, but it still gives us a great idea of how important each element is when compared to the rest. You can see that both in the App Store and in the Google Play Store, video is the top conversion driver, followed by the icon and screenshots. And as I mentioned, feature graphic is almost as important as the video. So today, I'm going to be talking to you guys about how we came to have our current video in the App Store right now, and then move on to our feature graphic A/B tests, and then end my presentation with our app icon tests. So let's start with the video. We witnessed firsthand how important having a video was when iOS 11 was first being launched. Back in the day, when everyone was using iOS 10, we didn't even have the option of having a video in the App Store. So it was a very important time for us. We had to think about what kind of a video we wanted to put out there. We had to think about its layout. When we were using iOS 10, we had vertical screenshots in the App Store. This gave us a strategic advantage of having more real estate in the search result page. So if we were to have a horizontal image in iOS 10, we would get more real estate, we would get less real estate in the search result page. So iOS 11 changed the layout of the App Store, and this advantage was removed. So whether you had a vertical or a landscape screenshot didn't matter, you would get the same space. So initially, it made more sense for us to go forward with a landscape video in the new scenario, since our game is a horizontal game, and we have a lot of tiny elements in the game, like poker cards, poker chips, a lot of numbers. But everyone wouldn't be migrating to iOS 11 in a very fast phase. So people take some time to update their OSs when Apple comes with new OS versions. So we said, OK, let's keep our real estate advantage. Let's go forward with a vertical video to start with. And once people started switching to iOS 11, we could switch to having a horizontal video, which is the third screen that you can see on the screen. So here's what happened with our conversion rate through this journey. When iOS 11 when it was first released, we saw a dip in our conversion rate. We can explain this by two factors. One would be overall impression numbers in the App Store increased by a lot when iOS 11 changed its layout. And two, our video wasn't ready, so we didn't have a video in the App Store, so that also caused our conversion rate to drop. But you can see as soon as we added our first vertical version of our app preview and started making iterations on it, we saw huge improvements in our conversion rate. And as we kept on iterating it and switching to horizontal, which is more suitable for our game, it kept on improving. In the span of 5 months, we were able to improve our conversion rate by 276% by using our video in the App Store. Now that I talked to you so much about this video, I just want to show you which video I'm talking about. It was supposed to have audio, but so I hope you liked it. It took us, as I mentioned, about 5 months to get to this version of the video. Things are a bit slower on iOS when you try to see the impact of the ASO changes that you make on iOS, especially if you're only using iTunes Connect to monitor your conversion rate change after the ASO changes you've made. It's a bit slower. It takes some more time to see the real impact of your change. On Google Play, however, there's this amazing built-in A/B test tool in the Google Dev Console. And using this tool, you can test your icon, your feature graphic, your screenshots, your video, your short and long description. So this is a great tool that gives us a lot of important information about what our users like to see in our App Store product page. You can run up to 5 different localized tests or 1 global test at a time. So now I want to jump into our feature graphic A/B tests. But before that, I just want to tell you what feature graphic actually is. So it's the thumbnail image of the video in the Google Play Store. It's very important because differently from iOS, Google Play doesn't autoplay your video. So if a user doesn't choose to watch your video when they see it, then this will be the biggest creative space that you will be able to talk to them. So you really have to start thinking about what kind of visuals you want to put in this one single image so that you can make your users feel what you want them to feel when they see your app product page. One small note that I want to mention here is that Google Play loves testing different layouts of its App Store. You can see an older version on your left, the one with the Gmail screenshot, and the most recent version is the one with Golf Clash. In the case of feature graphic, it wasn't impacted a lot. It's still the biggest creative that you see on the screen, but just keep an eye out for these changes because these changes might impact the way that you do your ASO changes. This was our first feature graphic that we had on Google Play about 2 years ago. It is the loading screen of our game. So if you were to download our game and launch it, which all of you guys should, this was the image that you would see. We liked this image. It was doing really well for us. We had good branding on it, but we wanted to make it a bit more about poker. We wanted to add more unique elements to it. So we came up with this variant. You can see the community cards. You can see a really strong hand with a pocket of aces. You can see our collectibles a bit small behind the community cards. So this variant did really well for us. It outperformed our loading screen. But we still weren't completely satisfied. We wanted to improve it. We wanted to have a version that would work better for our main target audience, which is older male population. So we came up with this variant. You can see the cigars at the background. You can see the chic wooden table. You can see that the collectibles are much bigger now. So that's how we try to convey the exclusivity feeling that comes with being our player. So the test between these two wasn't conclusive, so we didn't have a winner. They both did equally well. So we said, OK, let's take elements from both of these images, put them into one single image, and have an amazing winner. So we came up with these two variants. These images are identical, except the color of the text logo. So you can see that we kept the poker table, we kept the poker chips, we made the collectibles even bigger to put more emphasis on them. These variants worked really well. I got really inspired by Liftoff's presentation, so I wanted to ask you guys, who thinks that the variant with the red and black logo won? OK. And who thinks that the variant with the white logo won? OK. I don't know if you guys saw it in the previous slides, but it was hidden in there, so you might have caught it back then. But the ones that think that the white logo won are right. Here's a quick screenshot of the test results. The white bracelet, white text variant did better than the other one. So now that I talked to you a lot about very pleasant experiences that we've had with our video, with our feature graphics, I just want to talk to you about a series of unfortunate events that happened with our app icon. 2 years ago, we wanted to test a Halloween version of our app icon. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a tiny little pumpkin at the bottom of the poker chip there. Don't be too hard on yourselves if you don't see it. I don't think many people could. The result of this test was inconclusive, so it didn't impact our conversion rate at all. So we said, OK, let's go with something bigger. Let's go with a theme change. Let's make it more obvious. It was winter time. As I'm sure all of you know, it gets really cold here, so we got inspired. So we came up with these two variants. I don't think a lot of people like winter all that much, so at least not our target audience, so this was a fail for us. Then we thought, OK, let's go back to smaller changes, maybe just play with the shine effect behind the chip or just the shade of the blue behind the poker chip. So we came up with these two variants. I'm sure you guys can guess the result of the test by now, but this was, again, a failure. So then we said, OK, we have to do something different. We have to go crazy. We just have to think outside the box. Maybe let's get rid of the poker chips. Let's just try something completely different. So we came up with these two variants. This was the worst A/B test that I've ever done. It was really bad. It was really scary. It taught us a lot, but it was a big one for us. So after this, we wanted to go back to our subtle ways and wanted to make smaller changes. So there was a trend going on back then in the Google Play Store. Everyone was removing their backgrounds and only keeping their logo on the screen. So it would pop out on the white screen of the Google Play Store. So we came up with this variant. It didn't have an impact in our conversion rate. One small note about this format is Google Play banned this format, so you can't have a transparent background anymore. So don't test it at home. You won't be able to implement it. Most recently, it was the 50th year anniversary of WSOP in real life, and we had an amazing in-game event supporting the real tournament in our game. And we wanted to have an app icon supporting our in-game event, and we came up with this variant. Again, it failed us. So this has been our one and only top performers for more than 2 years now. It's been very challenging, but we're not giving up. We're going to keep on testing. But it's been the top performer for a really long time now. So before I end my presentation, I just want to talk to you guys about what's coming up in ASO. iOS 13 will be fully released in September. The public beta is already out. The biggest hype around iOS 13 is the dark mode. So people will now have the option of using their phones with the dark mode rather than the generic white one. And this will be applied to the App Store as well, which will probably impact the way that people optimize their creatives in the App Store. So just keep an eye out on what everyone else is doing. I don't know if Apple will let us upload different pictures or different creatives for people who use the dark mode versus who don't. They might. It would be very interesting. But just keep an eye out on what's happening after the release of iOS 13. And another recent change that happened on Google Play was that they added a new metric to their A/B testing tool. So before this change, we could only look at first-time installers when we were looking at conversion rate changes when we were doing A/B tests. So now we are able to look at retained installers. This means that Google can and probably will add other metrics, other down-funnel metrics. They can even add metrics about payers, which would be golden information for us because we would be able to optimize our App Store creatives based on the opinions of the most valuable users of our application. So this will be a big game changer if they do that. So here's a quick takeaway slide of our ASO and A/B test learnings. App preview, which is our video, it makes a world of a difference between having it versus not having it. It's one of the top conversion drivers in the App Store. We have to think about what kind of layout will work best for us, horizontal versus vertical. And we have to just keep an eye out on other top players within your industry and iterate and keep it up to date. 2, feature graphic. It's almost as important as the video on Google Play Store. So be very mindful of how you use it. Think about the best elements that you want to put in there to represent the values of your app. And even minor changes, such as the color of your text logo, the position of the text logo, different variations of the items that are in the image, every minor change can have a great impact on your conversion rate. An app icon, if you have a brand with a strong brand recognition, it might be a better idea to go with smaller changes. Even then, you might not get a winner. It's a very challenging journey, but we have to keep on testing.
So which tool do you prefer for the feature graphic A/B testing?
There is a built-in tool in Google Developer Console. It's actually built into the Google Dev platform, so you don't need to use an external tool. Okay. It's free, and it's amazing.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just curious, how often do you guys find yourself testing icons, and do you sort of set like a conversion rate threshold, and if you maintain that, then you stop testing, and if it dips below it, you start testing again, or what's your sort of time frame for testing?
So all of the app icons that I've displayed on the screen, all of those tests were implemented within the span of 2 years, so not that frequently. We don't have a threshold, like a specific conversion threshold for icons specifically, because you don't know if that's going to be the factor that's impacting your conversion rate. But we do try and test it frequently to get a better variant, which we haven't been able to. But as frequent as we can would be the ideal answer.